Hello, everyone. Thank you. As a matter of fact, come on in, grab your seats. We'll be getting started in just a moment. There's some refreshments in the back. Hey, thanks for coming out. Good to see you. Yes, no, hey, can we bring in a few more chairs for the people in the back? We had more people than we thought, and that's always a good thing. I know this is customary. My mother can't see me, but she can probably hear me. So if you're listening, hi, Mom. Exactly. Get your papers and your pencils out because we will be taking notes. I'm excited about what I have to share with you today. It's the full-time formula for speakers. Exactly. That's perfect. Nope, you're not in my way, and we'll get started here in just a second. Hello, I'm Ruben West. Thank you for being here. I am excited about what I have to share with you today because this is something for speakers. Now, when I say speakers, I want you to expand your mind because you may be thinking that I'm not a speaker, but I'm telling you, if you speak from the pulpit, if you speak from the platform, if you speak from the classroom, if you speak at all, you're a speaker. So what I'm about to share with you today has been put together specifically for you. This presentation is called the full-time speaker formula. Now, what do I mean by full-time speaker formula? There's a lot of people who speak. There's a lot of people who love to speak, but they don't have the opportunity to do it full-time. And so today I'm going to articulate exactly what it's going to take that will allow you to speak full-time and make as much money as you want to make doing it and in the process. Now, again, I want to cover who is this for because you're sitting there and you may be a speaker, you may be at home watching this, you may be in our live studio or watching it on a rebroadcast, and you're wondering, should I sit through this presentation? Is this presentation for me? So what I'm going to do is tell you exactly who this presentation has been put together for. Number one, if you speak and you're not making money. You know, speaking is a passion for a lot of individuals, as is a lot of work. I have a friend named Rhonda, and she loves working with children. She started these after-school programs, and they went well for a long time, but she had to stop doing them. Why? Because she wasn't making any money at them. Even though she loved to do it, it wasn't paying her bills. And so she had to put her interest and her efforts into something else that was paying the bills. And for a lot of speakers, that's exactly what happens. We love to speak. We have the opportunity. We spread our message to different audiences, but we're not getting paid to speak. And so if you're speaking and you're not getting paid at this time, this presentation is for you. The next thing is, what about the rejections? You know, I had a friend named Chris that went to college in Missouri. And when Chris graduated, he went and applied for a job. And so sometimes as speakers, we send out our applications, we send out our resumes, we send out our requests, and you know what they tell us? They tell us the same thing they told Chris. You don't have the experience. And then we always come back to that same question, which is, how am I supposed to get experience if you won't give me the chance to get the experience? And so if you're a speaker and you have a message and you keep getting rejected because they're going with a more experienced speaker, this presentation is for you. Now, what about this? What if you don't have the opportunity to speak? You know, sometimes we're ready, we have our message together, we know exactly who we want to speak to, but we don't have the opportunity. Why? Because we don't know how to contact our exact audience. We don't know how to reach the people that we're trying to reach. And so we don't have the opportunities to speak. Our phone isn't ringing, if you will. And so if your phone isn't ringing or you're not finding the opportunity to speak, this presentation is for you. Now, what about this? You know, in 2003, I was in Wichita, Kansas at a comedy club. We had a great time, and if you would have been there, you would have seen my friends and I sitting at the table laughing hysterically. As a matter of fact, the whole place had erupted in laughter several times. And no one wanted the presentation to end. We loved it, but we knew that it had to come to an end. But that was okay. And one of the things that the comedian said is, if you liked what we had to say, if you liked what we brought to you today, we have products in the back. See, that's the problem with some of the speakers, is that they have a connection with the audience. They love what they have to say. They want to take them home, but at the end of the presentation, they have no products. So if you're a speaker, you love to speak, you may have opportunities or not, but you don't have products, this presentation is for you. Now, what if you have products, you have the opportunity to speak, but you don't have the audience that you want? See, it's not just about being in front of any audience, it's about being in front of the audience that needs to hear your message. We have to get the right butts in the seats. We have to get the people who need to hear our message in a place to hear our message. So if you have a problem where the people that you need to hear your message is not the people you're presenting your message to, or you don't get a chance to share your message, this presentation is for you. Now, let me tell you about me. My name is Ruben West. I'm a 7th degree black belt, U.S. Martial Arts Hall of Fame member, inductee in 2005. I was inducted as Instructor of the Year. But what does that mean for you? That means that I understand what it's like to go through a process. I remember transitioning from the job that I had and wanted to move into a new field. And it was difficult because I didn't know which way to turn. There was no clear-cut set directions. And so I went in this path, and then I had to change, and I went in this path, and then I had to change. You know, they say success is not in a straight line. It's an up-down process, sometimes a side-to-side process. And so if you're anything like me, you find it difficult to know exactly how to get to that next point without a clear-cut map. And so that's why I wanted to have the opportunity to put together this program specifically for you, for the people who want to become full-time speakers. And what I did is I mapped out that process. What does it take for you to become a full-time speaker? So I have a question for you as I think about this in the form or the concepts of martial arts. And that is, are you a black belt? See, the point of the black belt is that you have to go back again and again and again and again. You're always training. You're always searching to reach a level of mastery. And even when you think you have it, they send you back again. And so that makes sense as long as we know that we're taking the right steps. We don't mind going back again and again. Where we get frustrated, where it bothers us, is that we want to speak, we want to touch people's lives, we want to make a difference, be it from the classroom or the pulpit, from the stage, but we don't have a clear-cut process. And so I want to talk about this question. Are you a black belt speaker? Now, what do I mean by that? Are you a black belt speaker? You probably don't know, because I am the first one to bring you this concept. I'm the first one to apply the principles of martial arts to this process. And so in order for you to understand, are you a black belt speaker, I've put together a quiz. And this quiz is designed for you to rate yourself. And so here's what I want you to do. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to answer these questions. And that's why I told you to make sure you had your pen and paper out. So wherever you're at, I'm going to give you a chance to make sure you have your pen and paper ready. And as I ask you these questions, I want you to score yourself from 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. If you're already there, give yourself a 10. If you're almost there, you're halfway there, give yourself a 5. And if you haven't started this process, just give yourself a 1. It's okay, but we need to know where you're at. The first question I have for you in this black belt speaker quiz is, are you able to sustain yourself solely from speaking? Do you generate enough income just from speaking that you don't have to have another source of employment? I want you to think about that question, and I want you to rate yourself. If you are, give yourself a 10. If you're making half the money that you would need, give yourself a 5. If you're really not making the money that you want or that you need, or you're not making any money, it's okay. Give yourself a 1. This program is for you. I have the answer for you. That's okay. We just need to know where you're at right now. The next question I have for you is, are you so busy, do you get so many requests that you have to turn down speaking engagements? Now, why is this important? Because if you're turning down speaking engagements, that means you're being very selective. You're selecting the ones that resonate with you. You're selecting the ones that are putting you in front of the right audience, You're selecting the ones that's giving you the right accommodations. You're selecting the ones that are flexible to your schedule, and you're not running all over and doing things that you don't want to have to do just to get the opportunity to speak. So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Be honest. No one sees this but you. Do you have to turn down engagements because you get so many requests? Now the next question, and this is important. We talked about products. Are you making $25,000 a month or more simply from product sales? $25,000 a month or more simply from product sales. Now, that could be a combination. That could be online sales. That could be on-site sales. That could be through your webinars or seminars. But the question I have, and the question I want you to rate yourself on, is, are you making $25,000 or more per month just from product sales? 1 to 10, give yourself your score. Here's the next question. Do you speak to 10,000 people a month and add them to your list? Are you adding 10,000 people per month to your list? Now, I know that sounds like a lot if you're not adding it, so that's okay. If you are, give yourself a 10. If you're not, give yourself wherever you fall. This is easy. If you're speaking to 5,000 people a month and you're adding them to your list, put a 5. If you're speaking to 1,000, put a 1. If you're speaking to 8,000, put an 8. Now, we're going to talk about how you do that. That's no problem. All I need you to do now is find out where you rate. We're trying to determine, are you a black belt speaker? Here's the next question I have for the quiz. Have you replicated yourself? You know, one of the things I wanted to do when I started my martial arts school was have the ability to replicate myself. I didn't want to have to be there every single day, but I still wanted the show to go on. So you have to have a way to replicate yourself. Why? Because if you're turning down engagements, you want to give them to people that you have trained. Why? Because you can keep part of the fee. You know, they may be paying $10,000 and your fee is 20%. So you tell them, hey, I'm going to send you to this speaking engagement, but because they called me and not you, I'm going to keep 20%. And I'm sure if their phone is not ringing, they're not going to mind getting $8,000 to go do an engagement. And now you're making money for nothing. You're keeping $2,000 and you're never leaving your home. So the question I have, remember this question, have you replicated yourself? Now, if you have 1 time, give yourself a 1. If you have 10 times, give yourself a 10. If you have 5 times, give yourself a 5. It's an honest evaluation. We're trying to determine, are you a black belt speaker? The next question I have, do you certify others? Now, certification is a different level than training. So I want you to think about what I'm asking you, because you may have replicated yourself, but do you certify others? Now, Ruben, when you say certification, why is this important? What difference does it make? Well, let me tell you. Everyone goes to the doctor, and sometimes we may have to go to a surgeon, but there's different types of doctors. They all have licenses, but there is a higher standard than license, and that's called board certified. So you can go to a board certified surgeon. They've went through some kind of certification process. And so my question for you is, do you have a certification process with the people that you're training or with the people that you're working with? If you don't have one, it's simple. It's a 1. If you're in the process and it's halfway done, you're in the 5. If you have one and you're already certifying other people, give yourself a 10. Congratulations. If not, don't worry about it. Now, this is important. Do you have the contracts? See, contracts are important because they take the guesswork out of things. They make sure that when we show up, the right things are there. And so when I say contracts, there's different types of contracts. There's contracts for the speaking engagements. There's contracts for people that we're going to do collaborative joint ventures with. There's JV partner contracts. There's all kinds of contracts. But my question is, do you have a standard set of contracts that you could pull out at any time? Because if you don't, here's what I know. You're using their contracts, and their contracts were written by who? Their attorneys. And they're to benefit who? Them. So if you're using their contracts and not yours, you're not really on the track to doing your best. That's okay. Give yourself a 5 if you have any. If you don't, give yourself a 1. It's okay. Now, here's the next thing I want to ask you, and this is very important. Do you have a franchise? See, everybody talks about having a book, but I'm not talking about having a book about you. I'm talking about having a franchise. See, when you have a franchise, you're bringing it back again and again and again, and you're getting other people to contribute to your franchise. And as you look at the books on the screen, you see that that's a franchise. You see why these people can become full-time, because they're making money from product sales, they're making money from their franchises, and they're getting other people to participate. And so all I want to know is, do you have a franchise? If you do, give yourself a 10. If you don't, give yourself a 1. If you're halfway through the process, give yourself a 5. And if you don't worry about it. These are just questions that I want to ask you to determine, are you a black belt speaker? Now, I want you to total that up, and I want to talk about this slide. What does the score mean? All we want to do is find out where you are, where you're at. We're trying to take an evaluation to see what we need to do next. And so as long as we know where we're at, we can do that. Anytime you walk into a game, the first thing you do is look at the scoreboard. Why? Because it tells you what's going on. So this is what I want to do right now. I want to be able to tell you what's going on. Look at what you've written down for your score, and now put yourself in a category. If you scored 1 to 39, you're in the beginning stages. You're in the white belt stages of becoming a black belt speaker. And that's okay. We can still help you. We just need to know where you're at. If you're 40 to 64, you're in the green belt stage, or what I call the intermediate stage, and you're well on your way. But we have some things that can still help you. Now, here's the other category, 65 to 80. If you've already received a 65 to 80, I want to commend you, because you've done more than a lot of people have done, simply because a lot of people don't know to do it. But just like I know at the black belt level, there's still a level of mastery. So no matter where you're at, it's okay. I just wanted you to get a chance to see where you're at. So now here's what I want you to do. I want you to so that I can give you an assessment, I'm going to give you a free speaker assessment. I want you to text the word black belt, B-L-A-C-K-B-E-L-T, to this number, 785-222-4007. That's 785-222-4007. Now, what are you going to do when you text this word black belt to this number? You're going to get in touch with me, and we're going to arrange your free speaker assessment, because no matter where you scored on that process, there's some information that we can help you with to get to the next level. But the first thing we have to see is, what's our score? Where are we at in this game of speaking? Where are we at in the game of becoming a full-time speaker? So text the word black belt to 785-222-4007. Now, no matter where you scored, I want to give you some tips and some strategies of what you can do to become a full-time speaker. I call this the full-time speaker formula. And there's 7 things that are very necessary to do this. And so we've covered on some of them in the quiz, but I want to tell you the exact steps that you're going to need to take to become a full-time speaker and to generate the revenue and the income that you need to not have a second source of income. All right? So the first thing we're going to do is you have to develop a training system. You know, when I wanted to have a martial arts school, I realized that I needed to have a training system that would work each and every day, no matter who used it. And so I've had this school for 16 years now, and it still works. I have other people using this training system. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to develop a training system that will be step by step in the instructional format of what needs to be done. The next thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to write a book that's not about you. When you go back and think about those chicken soup books, they're not about the authors. They were brilliant in bringing other people in and having them contribute content, right? And so what this does is it allows you to expand your brand. It allows you to tell someone else's story. It allows someone else to share your message. And then you could do it again and again and again. So they do this over and over again. So one of the things you're going to have to do, and make sure you write this down, is number 2, you're going to have to write a book that's not about you. Write a book that is not about you. Now the third thing is, I want you to think about Netflix. And what does that mean? Well, what is Netflix really? It's a membership portal. It's a place that you can go, pay a subscription to, a membership fee, but from there you can access content that's been previously uploaded. And in this case, it's movies, it's videos, it's shows, it's TV productions, it's things that you want to see. But the bottom line is, it's a membership portal. You're going to have a membership site so that you can put your information up there and people can access it when they want it. One of the things that makes Netflix so powerful is that if there's a show that you want to see, you can see it from wherever you want to see it. And you can watch it whenever you want to watch it. And so I want you to think about, do you have a membership portal? And if not, that's one of the things that you're going to need to become a full-time speaker. Now, number 4, stop being a team of one. You know, teamwork makes the dream work. You would agree, I'm sure. And a lot of times we think that we have to do it all by ourselves, and that simply doesn't work. I remember seeing a guy pushing a car one time, and he was pushing and pushing and pushing, and he had opened the door and ran out of gas, and it wasn't moving. But because he was working, he was trying, there were people that got out of their cars, including myself, and helped him push his car right up into the gas station. Now here's the question, would we have done that if he was just sitting in the car and said, hey, get over and push my car? Absolutely not. We did it because he was already working towards something, but what he needed, what he was trying to create, was big enough for our skills and talents. And in order to do that, it takes a team. So you have to commit to stop being a team of one. Now the 5th thing you have to do in the 7-step process is you have to have a closing script. You know, sometimes I watch speakers and presenters get all the way through their presentations, and I've seen this at timeshares, I've seen this on the stage. I've even been to church and I've seen ministers and preachers do it, and they get to the closing and it's almost like they don't know what to say. Now, why is it important that you have a closing script? It's not because you're tricking them or anything like that. It's because once you understand that what you have to say is so important, you don't want to leave anything out, you will take the time to put together a script. Now, just simply, let's think about just saying our ABCs. That's very important, and they put it in a song, but the reason that they did that is so that they would always remember every single letter. But what if there was a song that skipped a letter or two? Do you see how it's an ineffective script? It's not going to work for teaching the person the ABCs. What you're doing is not going to work if you're leaving out critical information, and the one thing you leave out may just be the one thing that they needed to hear to take action. And now, even though you have the product, even though you have the service, even though you're available to come and speak, you didn't say the one thing that they needed to hear. And so it's important that you develop yourself a script. Now, the 6th thing you need in the 7-step process is you have to create a virtual stage. Now, for some of the people, they're watching me here in this classroom, but some of you may be watching me on YouTube or live stream. You're watching me on a virtual stage. From time to time, you'll see me on a Google Hangout. I'm presenting from a virtual stage. I'm doing just what I'm talking about, and that's exactly what you have to do. You have to have a virtual stage. Why? Because it allows you to present anytime you want to present. It allows you to present from wherever you're at. Sometimes you may be invited to speak, but you don't have time to get there. But if you're speaking from a virtual stage, you can speak anywhere, at any time, anywhere in the world. So I want you to think about that. You have to have a virtual stage. The 7th step in this process is you have to speak 10 times a week. Now, a lot of people hear that number and they say, Ruben, how is it possible that we can speak 10 times a week? And usually the reason that they're thinking this way is because they're thinking of the traditional speaking, that you're going to jump in the car, or you're going to jump on a plane, you're going to have all your luggage, you're going to take it wherever you need to take it, and then you're going to speak. That's not what I'm talking about. Although that's okay, you may only do that once or twice a week, but there's Google Hangouts, there's conference calls, there's blog talk radio, there's live events, there's free events. You just have to find a way to get your message out there 10 times a week. And sometimes you're even going to speak for free. Why? Because it's necessary. Sometimes we have to give first and not wait to give back. Here's what I want you to remember. Write this one down too. Sometimes free work is the key work. Write that down, right? Sometimes free work is the key work. But imagine this. You go in, you're speaking for free, they love what you have to say. Just like that comedian that I told you about in Wichita, Kansas. You love what they have to say. You make the connection, but then they want to take you home. Now, because you have product sales that you delivered, now, because you have webinars that they can sign up for, you're able to monetize this free message. And so speaking 10 times a week puts your voice out there. It helps you connect with people all over the world. It allows you to get that number of 10,000 names to your list each month. And it allows you to monetize your message when you have products. So what you want to do, number 7, write it down, speak 10 times a week. Now, I know the question you have is the question that most of us have. Will this work for me? And I have the answer. Absolutely. How do I know? Well, because we deal in systems. You know, when I wanted to take my martial arts school to the next level, I had to train some people. And I remember asking my colleague, Kevin, to become a black belt and join with me. And he said, Ruben, I don't know that I can do it. I want to do it, but I'm not a black belt. I didn't worry about it. Why? Because I already had the system. And so I don't want you to worry about it. Why? Because we already have the system. You know, they say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And that is true. But if that's the case, then the definition of sanity is doing the same thing and expecting the same results. And so why can I tell you that this will absolutely work for you? Because it's been proven. These are proven results. So you don't have to worry about, will this work for you? All you have to think about is, yes, it will. I just have to take action. But you might want to know, well, Ruben, what are the next steps? What should I do? So I'm going to tell you. I just want you to join the winning team. I want you to look on that slide right now, and you see right down there at the bottom, I want you to go there, blackbeltspeakers.com. I just want you to go there and see what's going on there. And I'm going to tell you exactly what this is going to be. I'm going to share the information for you in a little bit, but I want you to see what we have prepared for you. I just want you to go to blackbeltspeakers.com, BLACKBELTSPEAKERS.com, blackbeltspeakers.com. I'm going to show you exactly what this entails. I'm going to break it all down to you, and you're probably going to want to know, is there an investment? Of course there is. Of course there's an investment, but don't worry about that. I have some special incentives for the people who are willing and ready to take action today. So yes, there's an investment, but I have some special incentives. Now, what do you get? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unwrap all of the things that you're going to get in this full-time speaker formula. So let's look at that. One of the things you're going to get is a plethora of products and services. You're going to have access to our materials, and you're going to get some gifts that will allow you to take your speaking to the next level. Now, for the people who act first, for the first, I don't know, 15 or 20 people live, and if you're watching this online right now during this presentation, because we can see your activity on the internet, if you're watching it live and you're online, I'm going to give, let's say, the first 50 people who take action, I have a free special gift that I'm going to give for you. But let's talk of some of the things that you're going to get in this, the Black Belt Speaker System, the full-time speaker formula. First thing is you're going to get membership. And why is that important? Well, we already know that membership has its privileges. There's things that you're going to have access to because you're simply a member that are going to blow you away. And I'm going to cover some of those things. One of the things is you're going to have access. And so when I talk about access, I'm talking about virtual access. There's plenty of people that's going to participate in this. You're going to have a collaborative effort with some great minds. But when I say the word access, here's what I'm specifically talking about. Imagine being in your car, not the driver, but the passenger, and being able to pick up your phone and get to the materials. Imagine being online on a web portal and being able to go on and get to the materials. So you're going to have access 24/7, 365. It's just like what I talked about with Netflix. You want to have the material when you need it. You want to have the material when you want it, and you want to have the material when you're ready for it. And by signing up, you're going to have access to all of this content when you need it. The next thing you're going to have is the resources. You know, here's what I've come to find out, that people learn in different ways. And so some people, we're audio learners, and so you're going to have CDs and audio files that you can download and listen to from time to time, even while you're doing other things such as working around the house or working at home or exercising. For some people, you're visual learners, so you're going to have resources such as webinars and videos that you can watch again and again and again. Now, when I say again and again and again, why is that important? Because I know that in order to develop mastery, you have to go back again and again and again. And we're going to make those things available for you. The next thing you're going to have is you're going to have workbooks, because some people, we just have to write it down. We just have to get it in writing. We have to see it. We have to touch it. We have to get our hands on it. So for those of you who like that tactile sensation, you're going to have workbooks and things that will take you through the exact same process. So we're coming at you from all angles to give you the materials that you need. Another thing, think about this. You're going to be a part of an elite group. And now you'll be able to mastermind with people who are doing the exact same thing that you're trying to do. You'll bring your ideas to the table. They're going to bring their ideas to the table. And together, we're going to go to the next step. Together, we're going to create your full-time speaker formula, being able to bounce ideas back and forth from one another. Here's the next thing. Think about this. You're going to be able to develop your virtual speaking platform. Your virtual speaking platform. Now, you're probably wondering, Ruben, how am I going to do this? Well, I just talked about the resources, and imagine this. Imagine being on a call and we bring on an expert who specifically deals with developing your virtual platform. Imagine being on the call and we bring on an expert who specifically deals with how to create your workbook, or an expert who specifically deals with how to create your online product or program. See, you'll do all of this, and you can do it from your own virtual platform. So you'll have access to all of these materials while you're in the program. Now, let me continue. There's more. Look, I already told you there's audio files, video files, notes, there's communities, but even though you get all of that, there's still some other benefits that you're going to get. And that is, you're going to get the opportunity to network with very special individuals. But here's what I know. We only have so much time. And so for today, for the people who are willing to take action today, I open it up, the special bonus for the 20 people live in the studio, 50 people who are watching us online. Understand that this is time sensitive, so we have to take action. Why? Because there's a limited number of people that I can deal with. There's a limited number of people that I can work with, and I want to give them my attention. Now, that's what I want to tell you. I want you to look at this slide. When I wanted to become an expert in the martial arts, I traveled all over the country working with the best martial artists. When I wanted to become an expert in speaking, I did the exact same thing. So as you look at this slide, you'll see Bill Walsh, America's business expert, who has a speaker training in Chicago. Imagine him getting on the line and coaching you on some tips and secrets that you can do. And when I wanted to attend his program, I wrote the check. You also see on this slide Robert Allen, 5-time New York Times best-selling author. He wrote books like Cash in a Flash and No Money Down. And I wanted to learn from him. And you know what I did? I wrote the check. Imagine someone like him getting on the call. And then in the middle of the screen, you see no other than the man himself, Les Brown, voted top 5 speakers in the world. You know, he won an Emmy. Right? And so when I wanted to become a speaker, I went and trained with Les Brown. I've been to his home in LA. I've been to his home in Florida. Was invited to Robert Allen's home. I mean, I brought all of this material and I put it together for you. Here's what they say. If you want to be with the best, you got to train with the best. And so that's what I did, and I put this information together for you so that when you participate in this program, you don't have to go all over and find out all this information. You're going to find it in a one-stop shop. Now, when you hear all this, when you understand what it costs for me to put this together, you already understand that it's worth the just under $5,000 that I'm offering it for. But I don't want you to get excited. It says, but wait. Now, I want you to wait because there's going to be a special offer, and I'm going to give that to you a little bit later. So I don't want you to get excited about that, but you can't question. It's worth the $5,000. One of the things you're going to get for acting right now, the fast action bonus, is you're going to get my guide, my 7-tip guide to becoming a millionaire speaker. So I've interviewed these individuals, I've worked with them, I've talked with them, I've went through their programs, I've studied their systems. They trained me, and I'm going to give you my 7-step guide in becoming a millionaire speaker. So I want you to take action, and I want you to take action fast. Those are for the first 20 in the studio, the first 50 online. Now, here's what I know. There's always more than one way to do things, and you could do it the hard way. You could keep doing what you've been doing. You could keep being frustrated on a routine and regular basis. You could keep being upset because you've tried some things and they haven't worked out. You could keep being upset because you've invested some money and it hasn't paid off for you. You could keep being upset because you're not getting the opportunities that you want, or you're not making the money that you want. That's the hard way. And there's nothing that stops you from doing it that way. Some people are just going to do it the hard way. But that may not be you. Because if there's a hard way, we know what? There's an easy way. And the easy way is to have a step-by-step system that's laid out that tells you exactly what to do, exactly how to follow it, and it's put together for people who want to take their speaking to the next level. It's the full-time speaker's formula. So, what's it going to cost you? $9.97. That's right. $9.97. Now, there's no way you can say that this program isn't worth the $9.97. It's just not possible. I mean, you got to think about all the things you're going to get from the program. There's no way that you can think that it's not worth the $9.97. So, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go over to www.blackbeltspeakers.com. I'm going to say that again, www.blackbeltspeakers.com. And I want you to be ready to take action, because for the first 20 people in the studio, first 50 people online, we're going to give you a free bonus. We're going to give you a free gift. You know, I had a friend who, when I started my martial arts school and he joined with me, everything was working well. Everything was going well. And then we had a setback. And we decided that we were going to go our separate ways. And that's okay. But he had another passion. He said, there's something else that I want to do, and if I get with the right people, if I get with the right team, I'll become very successful at it. And this individual, this gentleman, he's become very successful. Now, I know that the reason that he's become successful is because, number one, he took action. Number two, he teamed with people that could help him get to where he needed to go. And number three, he followed the script. He followed the process. And that's exactly what I'm bringing to you in the blackbeltspeakers.com. So go to www.blackbeltspeakers.com, and there you're going to find the information that you need to get started. Now, here's what I know. When I wanted to speak, and I remember that day, I told my wife in the kitchen, I had written something down, and I said, you know, I looked at what I wrote, and I remember saying to my wife, I said, babe, look, I'm smart. And she said, well, I know you're smart. You married me, right? But that wasn't what I was talking about. I said, I know that. You know, I had to give her that one. She gets me every once in a while. I said, no, but look what I wrote. I'm smart. And she said, okay, Ruben, I accept that, but what's your point? And I said, well, there was a time in my life where I didn't really feel like I was smart. But now that I really see that I am, there's something that I always wanted to do. I wanted to speak, but I'd always been too shy. I always thought that I wouldn't have an audience. I thought that no one would be able to listen to me. And in that moment, I realized that, wait a minute, I could do it. And so I told my wife, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call Les Brown. I want him to be my mentor. And she said, Les Brown is not going to talk to you, Ruben. Do you know how busy it is? I said, I know how busy he is, but he's going to talk to me. And so I remember sending him a message via the email. I got it from his phone number from his product site. And I sent him a message, and I told him my story, and I told him I wanted to speak. And I remember when he called me on my phone, and I talked to him for the first time, and I told him my story. And I said I wanted to speak, that not in a religious way. I had my mother is an associate pastor. I have 4 uncles that are bishops. My grandfather was a pastor and a preacher. I wanted to speak, but not in a religious way. I wanted to help people do things. I wanted to help them achieve some things. And he said, Ruben, I can help you. And I was excited. But then you know what? There was a cost. And I took the time to write the check. Why? Because it was something that I wanted to do. And you may be sitting there right now wanting to become a full-time speaker, knowing that there's something that you want to do. And you see the avenue now. You see that there's something that can help you, and all you have to do is take the first steps and take action. That's exactly what I did. I remember the first time I met him in New York, and he said, Ruben, you have something, and I can work with you and develop you and help you to be exactly what you want to become. And I said, that's great. And he said, you know what? One of these days we're going to do some speaking together. One of these days we're going to share the stage together. And at the time, that was a little bit more than I could really process in my mind. I said, wait a minute, me on the stage with the world-renowned Les Brown? I mean, can this really be true? And so I remember saying, well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trust the process. I'm just going to do what he says. I'm going to follow his steps. I'm just going to do it. You know, I don't have to know everything, but I can follow direction. I can follow orders. And that's exactly what I did. And then I remember being at home and my phone ringing. And he's got that distinctive voice, and he answered the phone. He said, Ruben, this is Les. I said, yes, sir. He said, look, I'm speaking in California, and I want you to come out and speak with me. And that almost cost me $500, just that statement. Why? Because I almost dropped my phone. I couldn't believe that he was actually asking me to come out and speak. I couldn't believe that what I wanted to do, what I had thought about all of this time, I was finally getting the opportunity to do it. I took action. And that's what I want you to do. I want to thank you for taking the time to spend with me today. I want to thank you for listening to the message that I'm bringing to you. And I want to thank you for taking action on your own behalf. And with that being said, for those of you who took action and you joined the blackbeltspeaker.com movement, I look forward and I'm excited to working with you. Thank you.